Kansas City, where the Chiefs playing host to the lowly Giants in a feel good about yourself kind of a day, right? Feel good, show up, collect a win. That's normally how these things work. Not quite as planned. A damp 39-degree evening at Arrowhead, at least at the kickoff there. If you watched the game, you know what happened. If not, perhaps you missed it. We watched for you. It's our good mitzvah of the day. Harrison Butker, a kicker, an idiot kicker, hit a pair of fourth-quarter field goals, including what turned out to be the difference, the go-ahead 34-yard field goal with 1:07 left on the game clock, and the Chiefs had to scratch and claw, had to come back to beat the Giants, but they did. They win 2017. So Patrick Mahomes, a very unimpressive 275 yards passing. He had a touchdown and an interception. The Chiefs, with the win, get to 4-4. The Giants, with the loss, drop to 2-6 on the season. Another crappy Giants team. But the story here is actually on the Kansas City side. So let's discuss that. Should the Chiefs feel better or worse? They won the game. You play to win the game. The Chiefs won the game. So a win's a win's a win. Yeah. So should the Chiefs feel better or worse? The answer is the same. Status quo. This team continues to be stuck in a holding pattern, and the runway has not been cleared. The runway has not been cleared for landing. So I've got my thoughts on this. You've got dinner menu, toothless, and lounge act. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the Ben Maller chicken finger and fries the number one meal. And people talk about the barbecue in Kansas City, but I say the chicken finger and fries with my name attached to them is clearly at the very top. So, hey, listen.
Make the barbecue do it.
No, we're making the chicken fingers. Cut now. So the Chiefs, they get the victory, but continue to be treading water in the pond of mediocrity. And what happened to the offense? Where have you gone? This was another anemic effort against, let's be honest here, the rubbish that is the Giants' defense. Big Blue, they were 23rd in total defense, 24th in scoring defense. Keep in mind, that's the same defense the LA Rams and the Dallas Cowboys put up a combined 82 points against the Giants' defense. Even Washington put up 30 points against this Giants defense, and the Chiefs were fortunate to get to 20. And so the Giants were able to contain the big bad Chiefs. How does that happen? Now, are we writing off Kansas City? No, we're still not writing off Kansas City, but they're making it very difficult. Okay, they are stretching our belief in them because we're now almost midway through the NFL season, and they continue to be a meandering team, completely flummoxed about how to dominate the opposition, and they are flying through some dark clouds there, the Chiefs. Andy Reid, a Hall of Fame coach, and his team is serving up a dinner menu that includes Sloppy Joe's as the main course, and for dessert, Butterfingers, because that's the Chiefs. Like, both these things are simultaneously true. Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach, and slop, self-inflicted wounds. The toxic cocktail, equal parts turnovers and penalties. The Chiefs, I believe, I read this earlier, they've turned the ball over now 19 times this season, as I understand it. That is the most in any of Andy Reid's 9 seasons in the captain's chair in Kansas City. And they still have all these games to play, right? They played 8 games, so they got to play 9 games, maybe even more than that, depending on if they qualify for the postseason. So they've already turned the ball over more than any other Andy Reid team in Kansas City. And right now, you talk about being hung out to dry on the clothesline. That would be the laundry. The Chiefs have penalized in this game 12 times. Now, the officials were penalty happy, but 12 penalties for 103 yards, gave 5 first downs, just handed the 5 first downs over to the Giants. We don't want them, you take them. What happened to ball security? Now, part B of this, we got to zero in our bullseye on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, who continues to be sinking in quicksand. The unstoppable, generational talent, once in a lifetime, has gotten a frog in his throat, and he's not been able to get it out. He's not playing fidgety. And it's like the guy's been kidnapped, and there's an imposter Patrick Mahomes, a cheap rip-off version of Patrick Mahomes, who slid in. Mahomes needed 48 pass attempts to get to 275 yards passing. 48. He averaged less than 6 yards per pass attempt. Now, keep in mind, an average NFL quarterback is at 7 yards per attempt. He was at 5.7. 5.7 in this game. That is a toothless tiger, is what that is. Now, it also, here's the thing about Mahomes, and I know maybe we'll play some sound of him, maybe we won't, but he speaks a good game about overcoming adversity. And since the Chiefs became a bad team, they're an average to bad team so far this season. You are what your record says you are. Mahomes has gone deep in the bag o' cliches and platitudes. He's dug deep, and he's chomping at the bit to turn things around, fix the issues. Empty words. Those are what those are, empty words, because he goes out, does the same thing over and over and over again. It's rinse, wash, repeat. Talks the talk, does not walk the walk. Another interception here. He had a fumble that the Chiefs recovered, Mahomes. Lucky it was not worse. One of those picks, you saw the game in the fourth quarter, there was an interception that was taken off the board, another interception because of a penalty on the Giants. You talk about a official bailout plan for Kansas City. That would be an example. All right, last word here. So for the Chiefs, it may be a win. It looks like a win, right? Counts as a win. But it sure doesn't feel like a positive if you are an advocate of the Chiefs. It's not something that inspires confidence that they're about to go kaboom and explode on the NFL. Kansas City now has been held to 20 points or less in back-to-back games. First time that's happened since a guy named Alex Smith was the quarterback back in November of 2017. So it has not happened in the Mahomes era, and it's now 3 of the last 4 starts that Patrick Mahomes, with him calling the shots at quarterback, the Chiefs have been held to 20 or fewer points. What happened? What happened? How did this happen? It has happened right in front of our eyes here. And in the previous 50 regular season starts for Patrick Mahomes, that had happened twice. So 3 out of 4 in the previous 50 twice. Now, as for the Giants, normally the better stories in the losing locker room, but nobody cares about the Giants. They're irrelevant. They mean nothing. They have no value, the Giants. Big market team and all that. They've been the worst team in football. They're Jacksonville bad. They're actually worse than Jacksonville in recent years. But it's more of the same from Joe Judge. Joe Judge is a guy, much like Patrick Mahomes. Joe Judge talks a good talk, and you want to run through a brick wall for Joe Judge, and then you look up and you're like, wait a minute. The Giants are 2-6. They blow. Another pathetic season. And this is an example of a game that was winnable for the Giants. The Chiefs were trying, in fact, to hand it over. And the Giants, they muffed the gift. And they dropped it. It shattered into 1,000 pieces. Ungrateful. Rejecting an act of kindness from Kansas City to hand over a valuable Monday night win. And so KC, 27th ranked pass defense in the NFL coming in, and they kept Daniel Jones in check. Daniel Jones, yet again, you got to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. If you're the Giants, you said this is the new quarterback of the future a couple years back, and here we are at a fork in the road, and Daniel Jones is choking on the fork. 222 yards passing, averaged less than 7 yards per attempt. And you talk about a guy who's not ready for the main stage, not ready for the bright lights of Broadway. That's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is off Broadway. Daniel Jones is a lounge act. What's my evidence? You see now with this performance, congratulations to Daniel Jones. He is the worst primetime quarterback to begin a career in modern NFL history. Daniel Jones, now 0-7 under the lights, prime time, Thursday, Monday, Sunday, doesn't matter. 7 starts in prime time for Daniel Jones in the Big Apple, well, actually New Jersey where they play, 0 for 7. His passer rating in these primetime games, below 80. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns. I can go on. You get the point. He's bad at his job in these primetime situations, Daniel Jones. How many more excuses are the New York Giant front office types going to make here? They got to move on from this guy, right? I mean, barring some kind of drastic, dramatic plot twist to end the year. He's set in his ways. This is who Daniel Jones is. He's not good. How much more must you see? How many other excuses do you have to make? It's not his fault. It's the coaching staff. It's the offensive line. It's the receivers. It's the same old bullcrap. They excuse makers that carry the water for these second-rate quarterbacks like Daniel Jones. It's always somebody else's fault. Always somebody else's fault. All right, anyway, let's hear from some of the participants in this one. I want to hear from Joe Judge. We'll start with the Giants, and we'll work our way back to the Chiefs. Here's Joe Judge, who had just lost. He's just lost an NFL game, and he is blowing a gasket here. He's upset with a headset. He's more upset with that than anything else.
Every single stadium this year, home and away, I've had issues personally. Look, I don't know. Look, I don't want to make this all about headsets. We have things. I'd say this: whoever's in charge of it, whoever the guys who. Look, Jordan, I don't know the exact answer. I don't know if that comes more through the league or us exactly, but they better fix it fast. Yeah, that's it. Look, I'll get you all the details and stuff later on who does all that stuff. You know, we get the communication back. We say, hey, listen, these things have been an issue, and then we get told they've adjusted this, they've done this, whatever it is. Like I said, we try to adjust and use different hardware. It hasn't been allowed, so we'll keep on moving on. Again, look, I don't want to make this about the stupid headsets. That's not what this is about. I mean, that wasn't the factor in the game. We got to do other things on our own to make sure we have success.
I like that he says, I'm not making this about the headphones while making this about the headphones. No, it's not about the headphones. But the headphones, the technical problem with the headphones. Oh, my God. Grumpy old man, my headphones. Did you ever think, Joe Judge, you're not that old a guy, Joe. Did you ever think that maybe you're just bad at tech, that it's you are the problem? That even though you're young in terms of coaching, you're antiquated, and you don't understand how to use the basic headset. All right, anyway, let's move on. Let's hear from Andy Reid. Now, Andy, going back to his days in Philadelphia, is robotic. It's paint by numbers when his team loses or wins. Doesn't matter. The answers are almost always the same. And here is Andy Reid pointing out that the goal of the Chiefs is for improvement. They have to get better.
It's just we're new. We're a new group. It's a new team, and every year is different. And things aren't as smooth right now as maybe it was then, but we'll get it there. We just got to keep working.
Again, we're at mid-season. We're at the midway point, and that's not a team that had a ton of turnover, right? I had a few offensive linemen that changed it. Oh, come on, stop. The core, the pitch and catch between Mahomes and his receivers, that group is the same. Anyway, here's more from Andy Reid, and he is about to grade the performance of his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
I'm going to go back and kind of look at whether I was putting him in a good position or not to make plays, and then we'll see. I thought he did a nice job of hanging with it and ended up making some big plays for us, so with his feet and with his arm.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like Belichick. I got to go back and watch the tape. I got to watch the tape. Get back and watch the tape. Of course, they don't use tape anymore. It's all digital. But I got to get back. I got to watch. All right, here's one more from Andy Reid. Now, the Chiefs have, by many accounts, the top quarterback in football. He's not playing like it right now. I'll agree with you on that. But in terms of raw ability, there's nobody better that you'd rather have than Patrick Mahomes. And yet, here's Andy Reid saying, those no-name running backs, the guys you've never heard of, those guys are very important.
I think that whole running back room has stepped up in different roles this entire season. And as the season goes, with the offensive line continue to getting better and better at run blocking and doing that type of stuff, I think that'll be a big part of our offense.
Boy, Andy Reid sounds a lot like Patrick Mahomes. That was actually Mahomes. Look at that, Mahomie. Patrick Mahomes.